Okay, so now that we've talked about fertility scripts, let's talk a little bit about seed scripts.
Okay, great. Yeah, so let's go back into that prescription tab when we're logged into ClimateFieldView.ca. The seed scripts are for corn, currently only for corn. It's a way to make a population map based on actually historical research data that Bayer has created, as well as some science from the climate science team. So really cool way to get some population prescriptions. So let's select our field from that drop down again, and we can use that same prescription field. And click Create New Prescription. And here we can select planting. And then start with that advanced planting prescription. So here it's looking for a little bit more information from us. One thing to note is that we do recommend having 1 year of historical corn yield data just to make the algorithm a little bit more accurate and give it a bit more information to work with. So we can start with 2019. What crop did we have in this field in 2019?
Soybeans.
2018.
Corn.
2017 looks like we had edible beans. 2015's filled out. And then if there was ever a year maybe your data you collected wasn't accurate or you didn't think that what represented your field, you can also uncheck that. If we want, we can get rid of 2014 and remove that layer.
So if I only had 2 years of historical data, would I click these all off?
It will pull only what we have. So depending on what information you have in your account, it will use that as a base.
So 2017, for instance, here we have no data in. We don't have anything. Or did you switch that?
I use, based on the yield data that it had there, edible beans. So we can choose that edible beans from above.
Gotcha.
You probably have to select a crop. There it was right there. When you're confirmed all your information, hit next. So similar to before, choose the date. Maybe May 20th. And then here we can start typing in our hybrid. So I'm going to use a DeKalb hybrid, DKC 49, and then it should pull it up. So here we have 4909, 4944. You can see some of the ones have a little tested below it or beside it. That means that we did some research as a Bayer market development team, and we've actually factored that into our algorithm to help give you the most accurate results. So let's choose 4944. It asks for our target yield. So how high of a crop are we aiming for? We've had 203 bushels on this field before, so maybe aim for 200. Seed cost per bag, usually around $3.50. We can go with a $5 grain price. And then click next. And here's where it gives us a population recommendation. So unlike our other maps where we were given a blank slate and we had to draw those zones, FieldView is going to automatically create those zones for us. Up at the top, you can see some areas that you can play around with. If you put a higher target yield, maybe you're someone who likes to use a lot of fertility, you can move that dial over to a higher yield estimate if you want. Drag that all the way over to maybe the highest and see what kind of populations it gives us. So we can play around with it, and it keeps our recommendations at the bottom of our screen, which is nice. And then depending on the number of zones we like, we can always change that as well. Maybe you only want 3 zones if you're just starting out. We can always lower that. So depending on which map we want to choose at the bottom, maybe we can go back to the original recommended map. It always keeps the one it recommends the best for you. And then we can click Finish in Editor. And the nice thing is, if those populations that FieldView is recommending are higher than you and your agronomist are used to planting, maybe you want to change those target yields, you have the option to go in there at any time and edit those numbers.
I see at the bottom it says what my average population is and how many bags I need to finish this field. That really helps me out with planning as well.
Yeah, and the nice thing is it might not be any more seed than you're used to. It might just be a redistribution of where you're putting that seed, which could give you a higher yield across your field in the end. So when I'm happy with that, I can hit save, and then we can export it just like we did our fertility maps.
Always wanting to hit save first before we hit export. And again, like Andrea said at the beginning, we want to make sure that we're using the Google Chrome browser. Success, our script was successfully saved.
And so we can hit export now. And download.
Again, I'm going to choose a generic shapefile, which allows me to go into a lot of the equipment that I have. But if I do see my monitor that's up here, like a Pro 700, maybe a Raven, a John Deere, Ag Leader, all of them, I would just click on the appropriate one.